Hello, it's me, Sari, here again, and today I thought I'd play a little bit with the Spring Daisy stamps from Altenew. These are looking like this, and sometimes I have a problem coloring them. I don't really know what to do with them. I'm thinking that perhaps they ought to be white in the petals and just have a center in a chosen color of sorts. But then I just figured that since this is a solid stamp, you can actually color the petals in with various ink pads or perhaps even other materials. So let's see if I can show you something that I have started playing around with. And I might actually show you the first things that I made, and you can see the difference in its poignancy or its strength when it comes to using different kinds of ink pads. In this case I have used ink pads from YouDo. It's a Swedish company and they have a sort of a dewdrop shape to it, so it's really easy to apply the ink with that pointy bit there. And you can see it's really strong and beautiful in color. You could of course die cut these because these stamps come with a set of dies as well, so you can get a really nice figure that way and just put that on top of your card or something just to make a point. In this case I've just used a word die, which is congratulations in Swedish, grattis, and I just glued it down with some mono-tumbo glue something. And in this case I'm just playing around with some small ink pads from Prima. These look like iron things. They are really easy in the hand and I do love to work with them that way. So I thought I'd just show you how I made that. It's really easy, just go with the pointer bit in there and I'm just turning it around like that. And I'm keeping the ink pads in that order that I actually started using. And I'm just so I have a small remembrance of which ones go there and here and there. So let's see, perhaps I did a mistake there, but then again I'm thinking that perhaps I might even get a mixture of colors if I'm lucky. These dry fairly quickly, so that's the difference between using a pigment ink versus a chalk ink, because they do have a difference in drying time. I can manage to get out two sort of faint prints out of one coloring, but as you can see it's getting really pastel-y and light, and that could be nice of course as a sort of a background piece of paper or something if you wanted to go for that look. And let's see if I could just show you the difference between those YouDo inks. And then I'm thinking of also going there with some liquid metals from Ken Oliver just to see if I can make it work in a fun way. So let's see, I'm just going to go for I can actually put these back in their container and bring out these. The YouDo ink pads come in sets of 4, so I'm thinking that some of these are called pastels, some of these are called brights, and then we have some metallics, and as you can see I've got a duplicate set here, and then I've got something that is called navy, and another set that's called, perhaps it could be some basic colors because it's just some browns and whites and a black ink pad there as well. But I do fancy going there with the sort of stronger colors. Here I have used the metallics and it really turned out sort of pale, and it's got a really nice shimmer to it, so they are metallic and shimmery inks there. So let's see if I just put those away and go there with some orange. And you know, some of these inks have a tendency to color in the stamp itself, so it's something that you really can't get rid of once you have put on a permanent sort of ink or an ink that really stains your stamps. But it doesn't really matter because it doesn't contaminate the stamp in that perspective. You can still use it. So in this case I'm just going for 4 colors, and the blue one here, sadly enough, is sort of pale. You can hardly see it there. But let's see if I can make a better imprint out of this. Just going to put one there. And you can see, I mean, it's just marvelous. But let's say if I were to do this once more, and I'm going to change that to another blue from the navy set. So I'm just going to go there, and I'm always starting at the orange with a color that is similar to that. So it's easier for me to know where I started using the colors. And then I'm just repeating the pattern. And of course you could go for as many colors as you want to, if you have the enough amount of ink pads, of course. But in this case I'm just keeping things simple and using 4 colors. So this blue is a better hue, but it's from a different set, so that's why I'm mostly not using that if I want to make it easy for me to just remember where I'm at. So just have a look-see at this. This is better now, isn't it? So the sort of pastel blue is too light in my opinion. Of course it's nice, but this one sort of correlates better with that one. And I actually slid a little bit there, so I didn't get a perfect impression, did I? So let's see if I can get a second print from this. And just try to lift it upwards, and then I can get a second print there. And the difference in colors is like this then. So let's see if I can make something happen with those Ken Oliver liquid metals colors, or paints perhaps I could say, because they are liquid, aren't they? So let's put these back in a box like that, and then I'm going to go for these. I did show you these just the other day that I got them, and yesterday I started playing around with them, just trying things out if they could work on a black piece of paper. So I did stamp another of the Altenew stamps, and I heat set that after having stamped it with some Versamark, and I heat set it with, and then just poured some golden embossing powder, heat set that, and then I started painting with the different colors there. So it works beautifully on black. And if you want to get more coverage, of course you could just get it to dry and go back in with a second coat of color there. So let's see if I can make something happen with this. And I'm thinking that I will need a paper, and you know what, I'm just going to put a couple of dabs like that. And you know, since this is so liquid, I'm just thinking, how on earth am I going to succeed with this? So perhaps I need to just put the paper on top, perhaps even spray some water here or something, just to see what happens. So I'm not really remembering which colors I have used now, but I'm just going for something that looks funky. And I do have something there, don't I? It seems like I have. So let's see if I can add on a spritz of water just to see what happens, because I'm believing that these will just start to move a little, having added on some water. It looks lovely, but in this case I'm not going to tip it over like that. I'm going to do a print like this instead, and hopefully I will be able to pick up the color. Oh, it doesn't really work now, does it? So that's something you shouldn't do if you don't want a mess like that. So I'm thinking that if I do a quick turnover like this, perhaps I can make it work. No, I can't. So my other thought that I had when I was doing this was that I could actually just pour the color out like that, just to see what happens. And put some drops here and there, and just to get a variation of colors. Oopsie. I mean, these are really liquid, and I have actually forgotten to shake them. Come to think of it, you need to shake these now, don't you? Just put something there. So that's perhaps the reason for them being so liquidy. So it has got some really big blobs of color there. So I'm actually thinking of picking it up before, because I can see that it's not going to work that well. I'm having no control over it, so just pick up a little bit of that and continue perhaps using some other colours. And I'm going to go for something which is called metallic saffron. And I'm not sure where I'm going to end up with this, and I do believe that I could actually try to get the last print with this. It's getting better, but it's not what I intended, of course. So you know that you shouldn't have too much. So now it's getting sort of faint, but it's not really what I would like to call a success. So I'm just going to clean it up, just to give it a new chance of improving itself. So let's see where I'll end up with this. You know, I haven't done anything but this. Perhaps I could just put it there, twist it a little, and see where I'll end up. No, it isn't really what I wanted. But that one was a little bit better. So the tip is to have little. And why not make use of the colors that I have here and just add on perhaps some more drops and just spray a little bit of water on top, just to see what happens. So let's see what happens if I do it like that. Just put it there once. So you could make a sort of pale background piece of paper thingy like that. But perhaps I ought to show you how I made the other one. And of course that in that case I actually did just color in inside the lines. In this case I'm having a solid stamp, and perhaps that's the problem for me right now. So let's see if I could just dry it up a little so it won't be too damp when I start. And I'm going to take a dry brush, and I do need something to wipe it off on. So let's see. I'm not sure about the platinum, of course, but let's see. I'm just going to put a little bit there. A little bit of the verdigris. And perhaps some rose. It seems like some of the nibs are bigger than the others. I mean, that's a reason for... You see, it's a much more fine detailed tip there, so you can have more control over how much you're squeezing out. So there's a difference between these bottles, as you can see. So let's see. I'm just going to pick up this and paint it there, and I'm just going to go for the opposite side method here just to see what happens. Wipe it off on a piece of paper preferably, because I don't want this one to get damp. I'm just going to go for some green, and I'm going to put it there as well. Dry it up in between, put on some pink. I can see that I need some more colour. So I have those there. So I'm thinking copper could be nice. So I actually do like these with the small tip better. Oopsie. So let's see where I was at. Gold here. And a final touch of copper somewhere. So this is what it looks like right now. So let's see if I can get an imprint out of this. Or a print. And I'm just going to take it like that. it isn't what I would call a success either. I could of course just take a sort of a mist through this, see if I can reactivate the colors. So I could get a second print there, but I can't really say that I would go for using these when it comes to making this sort of stamping. It's too much of a mess for my cup of tea, really. So just find yourself some pigment ink pads, or ink pads with a small or pointy tip, because that will really make it easier for you to actually apply the ink on the stamp. And it might be a good idea to just clean these off in between if you don't want the ink pads to get contaminated by other colours. So that's it from me for this time. Altenew stamps or just any sort of flowery stamps could do with this method. And I hope you are going to try some of these techniques out anyway. I mean, this is looks fabulous with the color in the color scheme and everything. So I'm thinking one could use this for mixed media sort of crafting, of course. And just to finish things off, this is the first attempt I made. I just did some random stamping with those YouDo ink pads, and I cut out a circle which has a sort of a stitch seam around it, and it really makes it pop. So that's it from me. I hope to be able to be back soon again. Until then, have a splendid time. Bye bye.